The Trump administration is moving to open more roads in America's national forests, an action that could reshape tens of millions of acres of mostly untouched land. To do it, officials want to scrap the roadless area conservation rule, a safeguard that has limited road building and logging for nearly a quarter century. First, a quick rewind. In 2001, after years of public debate and 1.6 million comments, the Clinton administration adopted the roadless rule. It set aside roughly 60 million acres, about 30% of all national forest land, as roadless areas. In these landscapes, most new roads and commercial logging are off-limits, primarily to protect wildlife habitat, keep drinking water sources clean for about 60 million people, and preserve remote places for recreation. The U.S. Department of Agriculture now wants those restrictions gone. If the rule is repealed, nearly 59 million acres would lose their special status. The administration calls the policy burdensome and one-size-fits-all, and says new roads are essential for what it labels active forest management. Here's the core of their argument. Wildfire prevention. Forest Service Chief Tom Schultz says many forests are dangerously overstocked with dense, drought-stressed trees. Roads, he argues, let crews reach overgrown areas to thin vegetation and create fuel breaks. About 28 million acres of existing roadless land are classified as high or very high wildfire risk. Rural economies. Officials contend that the ban constrains timber, mining, and energy projects that once supported small towns. Lifting it, they say, would create jobs and let local forest managers tailor decisions to local needs. Opposition is fierce. Environmental groups call the move the largest rollback of conservation protections in U.S. history and challenge the wildfire logic. Research shows most wildfires start near roads because people ignite them by accident or otherwise. So while fires in remote roadless terrain can burn more acreage, opponents argue that more roads will simply invite more ignitions. They also warn of broader fallout. Habitat loss for more than 220 species listed under the Endangered Species Act that rely on these intact forests. Erosion and pollution in headwaters that feed major rivers and supply municipal drinking water. Fragmented ecosystems, which make it easier for invasive species to spread. There's a financial angle, too. The Forest Service already maintains over 380,000 miles of roads and faces billions of dollars in deferred repairs. Critics say taxpayers would inherit even larger bills for new construction and the environmental damage that comes with it. The roadless rule itself has led a turbulent political life, toggling with changes in the White House. It was adopted in 2001, weakened during President Trump's first term, and reinstated by the Biden administration in 2023. Now, the current administration's push to repeal it yet again places the issue back in the spotlight. A principal flashpoint is the Tongass National Forest in Alaska, the nation's largest, where timber interests have long pressed for exemptions. State-specific rules for Colorado and Idaho would remain in place. What happens next? The Department of Agriculture has opened a 21-day public comment period, running from August 29 to September 19, 2025. During that window, any member of the public can submit feedback on the proposal. Meanwhile, some lawmakers have introduced the Roadless Area Conservation Act. If Congress passes it, the 2001 rule would become permanent federal law, making it far harder for future administrations to dismantle. The stakes are enormous. Nearly 60 million acres of wild forest, hundreds of communities that border them, and a national debate over how or whether America should keep one of its last big swaths of wilderness road-free. Over the coming months, lawmakers, agencies, and citizens will decide whether these lands stay mostly untouched or open up to a very different future.